Hi, this is Dave Perry, and you're watching Retrogaming Revival live.
Hello, it's PM, and welcome to a new episode of Retrogaming Revival Live. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit that bell, and check out our other videos with the stars of the world of retro gaming. So let's get straight into it. Tonight we have with us Nintendo Ollie. If you haven't seen it, he's done a brilliant video on the channel this week about the rising price of retro games. So please do check that out. So evening, Ollie.
Good evening, Ryan. That's a nice intro, and I'll take that.
I know they go downhill quite dramatically from there. Okay, so next we've got the man with the most famous laser eye since Dean Cain and the New Adventures of Superman. It's Triangle Face.
Hello.
Someone who's just missing Ed the Duck or Gordon the Gopher from his broom cupboard. It's Blunners.
Oh God, here we go.
A man who now has his own meme on Meme Machine Dean's Twitch account. It's Duba. Evening, and we're pleased to be joined by star of YouTube, who's hit the amazing milestone of 30,000 subs, I believe, today. One of mine and the panel's favourite YouTubers. It's Lady Decade. So, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. I've got Top Hat looking after the children. One of them's asleep, hopefully for the night.
Is that him? Is he asleep?
Yeah, he's just letting the 4-year-old run around. So yes, and I've got my notes, so I will keep my nerves under control.
Well, you're in safe hands here. You know, it's all very relaxed. You know, just we'll ask the questions. I'm sure you won't need the notes, but it's good to be prepared. And like I say, we do appreciate you being here with us this evening.
Yeah, I need them because I tend to go off on tangents.
We love a tangent. Fine, yeah. We don't mind a tangent. That's good. Yeah, we're all good at tangents, so it's going to work. It'll work out well.
Thank you.
And just before we get into it, I just want to thank two people who are in the chat tonight who are acting as our Phil and Grant Mitchell. So they're in charge of the chat tonight. It's Essex Retro Gamer and Retro Chef. So a shout out to those two who are in the chat this evening. So yeah, thanks very much. Okay, so let's get straight into it. So we always start with this for all our guests on here. So it's your early gaming memories. So if you could tell us about that.
My first proper memories are just after my parents split up and me and my mum and my little sister moved into a house. My dad had hired a Mega Drive for me. I believe it was a Mega Drive. I remember playing Sonic and Knuckles on that for the first time and not really knowing what to do at all. I think I was must have been about 7 at the time, but that's sort of my earliest memory. That, and I remember struggling with the Little Mermaid as well on something. I can't say that they're particularly that cool.
The Little Mermaid, classic thing.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that I bust in with any Spectrum games or anything like that, because I didn't. I have some very, very vague memories of playing Tetris on my nan's lap on her Game Boy. And all of my sort of really, really early memories are mostly with my nan. My nan's the one she's been gaming since the ZX81.
Amazing.
Yeah.
There's going on a tangent immediately. There's I can't think of the YouTube channel, but there's a lady in either Australia or New Zealand. I should know the difference really, because I'm sure there is a difference in the accent. But she's a grandma, and she just collects video games, and she does like a whole like pickups thing and reviews thing, and it's amazing. This is like just like a grandma chatting about like the latest JRPG that's come out. It's incredible. I'll have to I'll see if I can find the name. Yeah, she's really cool. So there is a thing.
Most recent game that I saw my nan actually buy, she seems to have slowed down now to just sort of things like Candy Crush and Bubble Witch Saga and stuff like that now. But the last proper game she bought was Silent Hill.
Amazing.
Brilliant. Quality.
I think it was either on the PS3 or the PS4. She has got a PS4, but she doesn't really use it now. But she bought like an anthology with like the first 3 games on.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Amazing.
I think it was slightly different for her playing it like 10 years after the first time.
Yeah.
She's in her 81 now. So
Wow.
That's amazing.
Silent Hill. That's amazing.
It's incredible.
That is.
Not dexterous. Not like when we was playing Tomb Raider. That's like my main game that me and my nan used to play together was Tomb Raider. And then me and my sister would be sitting there going, "Nan, we're scared," or "Nan, can you get us past this bit?" And there's my nan coming in like, "Don't worry, it's tank controls. It's fine." And she would like shoot wolves for us.
Wow.
Well, I think if I brought my games console, in the 90s round to my nan and granddad, it would have took my granddad all day to tune Italian. So you've done it.
I can remember I was playing a game with my granddad one time. He attempted to do it, and I was trying to get him to like jump forwards. I said, "No, granddad, you got to press jump and move it at the same time." So he was moving the controller like this instead of actually like pushing the D-pad. Like, if I give him a Wii controller years later, maybe he would have been all right with it. But I said, "No, you got to move it and jump," and he's like moving the controller like this. I'm like, "Oh no, didn't get it."
Too literal.
So what was the first console that you owned then? What was the first?
I've always had hand-me-downs. So the first one that I inherited off of my nan was the PlayStation, because she'd got the slimline the small PlayStation. I can't remember what its official name is. I'm gone.
PS1.
Yeah, PS1. Yeah.
Sweating buckets. So yeah, she's got the smaller, more compact PlayStation. So I got that's one right there. So I inherited her PlayStation, and then she then gave me the games that she wasn't particularly interested in playing with that. So if I wanted to play Tomb Raider, I had to go around to Nan's. But if I wanted to play Las Vegas Casino, I could do that in my own bedroom.
So what's your favourite game on the PlayStation? PS4.
That's I would say.
Don't say Final Fantasy. Dorbs don't like it.
No, definitely not.
No.
I will love
that's
it.
fine. Yeah,
Rubbish.
the panel is split on that franchise, I think.
Most nostalgic for Tomb Raider, the IDOS ones.
Yeah.
I probably Buster Move 4 is one that I really like. And then Croc.
Good.
Yeah, Croc was good.
102
There's a cracking platformer.
Supposed to be a Yoshi game, wasn't it? That?
Yes, it was. Yeah, but no. Well, you haven't lived until you've played 102 Dalmatians, though.
I'll be watching some gameplay of that later then to see what the crack is at 102.
Have you gone back to Tomb Raider recently? Do you still enjoy it to this day? Because it's just so awkward and clumsy now. I find.
Yeah, but I think any old game with tank controls might as well not exist anymore, because otherwise they wouldn't be remaking all of the Resident Evil games, would they? But oh god, I haven't played Tomb Raider for years, not properly. I've watched Let's Plays of it, but I haven't sat there and actually played it. Like, my sister has actually said to me that if I do get around to having my own Twitch stream and I play that game, she wants to come and play with me so we can just be like we was when we was little and take it in turns. And oh no, I can't do it. You do that.
Yeah.
Oh, have you got any idea what to do on this puzzle?
So on Tomb Raider 2, I need an honest answer. Did you lock the butler in the freezer?
Oh, of
Oh,
course.
Everyone
Yeah, you
does,
have to,
don't
don't
they?
you? That's
Everyone
like
does it.
the law of Tomb Raider. You got
Yeah.
to do that.
And,
Think going around the corner. Where is he? Oh, he's definitely following me. Okay, right, quick, come here. So, yeah, everyone did that.
It's Tomb Raider 3, isn't it? Where you can actually shoot him, or is that still Tomb Raider 2?
I don't know. I didn't do that.
Oh, in one of them, it's either 2 or 3. You've got the assault course, and at the end, she's got target practice. I think it's number 3. It's either that or
I think it's 3.
yeah.
Did anyone ever complete that assault course without I've never managed to do any of those assault courses without failing.
Oh, me and my sister, we was a dab hand at those.
Oh, there you go. You want to put that on Twitch? That'd be good.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. I definitely think if I was to have my own Twitch stream, I'd probably, if I can get the capture cards working, which is I would probably set up a PS2, because then it gives me all of the PlayStation games and the PS2 games to sit and play with.
Yeah. Or if you've got I don't know if you might have one. I don't know, that the original PS3, the 60 gig fat model that does PS1, 2, and 3. That was.
That would be.
Is it behind your blunders? Is it behind you in the cupboard?
Blunders normally produce. And here's the console we're talking about earlier.
I'm not the new Neil.
We're thinking about all of this. So I'm actually remembering, like, when my nan used to live in a really old little bungalow, and I remember in our bedroom that we had set up there, we had mine and my sister's beds each side. We had this horrible electric fire, which eventually caused the bungalow to burn down. But anyway, this fire, in front of it, we had like this tiny little CRT, and Nan had, if I think back, obviously it was a SNES, but I was too small to know what it was. But I do distinctly remember her playing Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
But also, I remember there was this game that she used to play, and for the life of me, it's like I feel like I'm in like a Justin Wang Lost Media flipping internet mystery video here. But there was a game where you've got a character walking diagonally down a hill, down. I can't even remember what it was. I just remember it was really difficult. But it was specifically diagonally. You was like walking downhill and avoiding obstacles, and then you'd have a river at the bottom. And I cannot remember what it was at all.
That's not something you can Google either, is it? Like sideways walking down the stairs, when you get to the bottom, and there's a river at the bottom.
I go on Reddit, don't I, and start like a
someone somewhere will know.
Probably Retro Chef will know. He knows his stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, people in the chat might know.
I played a game once when I was on holiday, and it was one where all I can remember was being a knight that had a mace that he'd throw out, and the mace would spin around and hit things. And I didn't know what it was called, and I spent ages trying to find it. It's like, you can't Google that game I played on a holiday with a knight and a mace, can you? It just doesn't. It's not specific enough. And then one day I just stumbled across it and I found it, so I actually got a chance to play it again. So that was a good day.
What's it called?
I think it's called Dark Seal. It's got another name as well, but you could be a knight and a ninja and something else. It's basically like an isometric, like hack and slash arcade game on main. But
BBC Bill.
yeah, spent ages trying to find it, and I was like, because I had no details or another name, just a vague memory of playing it on holiday. No, I was really pleased. I just was going through an emulator and just found it on there. I was like, oh my god, that's the one.
That reminds me of a game that I played on a PS1 demo disc, where you were the ninja and you fired shurikens, and you on the actual demo you go around sort of like this green area, but I'm pretty sure that it was like you would travel from one square to the next square and so on and so forth, and then there was like a big giant crab that you had to fire your shurikens at, and
Moana, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's actually called that's Ninja. I think that's just called Ninja.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? Because I just
I think I played that. I think it's called. I think I played it recently actually on one of my emulators called Ninja.
This is like the new What's in the Box, isn't it? We're all like trying to guess. Any questions?
Right, can you throw up a thing of Ninja? See if you can find Ninja.
BC Bill as well.
I've been Ninja PS1. I think it's PS1, right?
Yeah,
PS1 game. Yeah. Put in Ninja PS1 and see if it's that.
I I think I'm more traumatized from the fact that you said that one of the bosses is a giant crab.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I hate
oh.
crabs.
A
Oh,
giant
crabs.
crab. I just remember I would always
Oh,
fail
no,
on
no,
this.
no. And a crab,
Right.
it's my kids think it's hilarious, but crabs is like my phone. I'm petrified of
Yeah.
crabs.
I hate them.
That's it! That's it!
That's it. Yeah,
There you
that's it.
go.
Yeah, ninja.
There we go.
There you go. Get yourself on eBay.
What's it called? Lost game.
That's just gone up by like
Lost game.
50%. And we've had
There
a
we go, so we
suggestion
managed to
for the
find
other
one.
game. Yeah, the other game. Someone suggested BC Bill. They said, was it a caveman on a wheel? And they've suggested BC Bill.
A caveman on a wheel.
Yeah.
Have a quick look on the internet.
Yeah,
20
this
quid
is,
on eBay if you want a ninja.
yeah, this is the only picture I can really
Guns are
find of
straight
it.
on it.
Oh,
20 quid on
the,
eBay.
the game that I was thinking of that was on the smart coming down diagonally on the screen, though. No, that's not it.
No. Oh.
No, it was. If it was on anything, it had to have been on, I suppose, the Super Nintendo, I guess. But the problem is because if I think back, it had to have been 1993, maybe.
Mm.
I was born in 89, and my nan and granddad lived with us at our house, and then they moved. So it was the very early 90s.
Mm.
It's called Find That Game by Lady Decade.
Yeah, ask that.
It's a shame that SNES-tastic is not here in the chat because he'll probably get it straight away.
Yeah,
He's like a Super Nintendo expert.
Yeah,
We'll get in touch with him separately.
Yeah.
We've got loads of SNES games over there, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what it was. But if I see it, then I'll be able to say, "Oh, that's it. That's definitely."
Well,
Right,
if
that's our new
SNES-tastic,
We'll try and find it. We'll try and find it by the end of.
yeah, if SNES-tastic is watching this on a repeat, he's probably still celebrating Britney Spears' conservatorship being removed. He's a big Britney fan, but if he is in the chat, or he sees us later, then do let us know what that game is, because I'm sure he'll know. He had a complete SNES collection, didn't he, at one point?
I think so.
He did.
Yeah.
Near. Okay, so you may have already touched on it, but your favourite console
At the moment, it's probably this.
Yeah, cute.
My lovely little 3DS. I'm a big gamer. No, my Switch. Yeah, probably my Switch. I used to say the 3DS was my favourite. And yeah, PlayStation. Plus, PlayStation is what I'm most nostalgic for, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most nostalgic for that.
There is something about the original PlayStation for me. Like growing up, like 16-bit era was like when I was really into gaming, like the Super Nintendo, and my mate had a Mega Drive. And every time you'd see like new games and magazines, it was always like, oh my God, these look amazing. But that leap from Super Nintendo to PS1 was just mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing, genuine. And it used to say, I mean, we've said this before on various things, but as soon as you'd see like a new game, you would always be like, I can't see how graphics are going to get any better than this. And you just always do it. Even like N64, like I remember seeing GoldenEye for the first time on N64. I mean, now they all look like they've suffered car crashes. Their heads are all square and they've got funny hands and stuff. But even then, you're like, oh my God, it looks like Pierce Brosnan. You're like, it really doesn't, does it now? But
now you look at it, it's like, oh, that's embarrassing.
Well, there's always those posts I see online on like Lad Bible, it might be, and they show Cristiano Ronaldo in the very first FIFA game he was in, 2003, for example. And at the time, you would have been like, "Blooming hell, that looks like Ronaldo." But when they show it compared to now, you're like, "Wow, how much it's improved."
Yeah. I do still think though the biggest leap is like for me it was when I went from a Mega Drive to a PS1. I don't think anything is surpassed that in terms of like the difference and the gap graphically. That was such a big jump. I mean, the graphics have got better, haven't they? But not as much in one go.
Oh, sorry, I kept start.
Oh yeah, go on. Sorry.
Go on, no.
Some games though look amazing still on the PS1, and Abe's Odyssey.
yeah,
Looks brilliant then. Looks brilliant now. Though that game it is aged like a fine wine.
Yeah,
I do.
it really
Yeah,
has.
absolutely.
I watched there's I've got someone that I talk to online called Yakobu, and I watched him stream. He was 100%ing Abe's Odyssey, and it was outrageous. And he was translating it from Japanese. Just
Wow,
Jesus.
yeah, that is
multitask.
so, honestly, really, really, really cool. But he was just. It's, I mean, it was balls hard. Like straight in the beginning of the game, he's like got you over to this like this secret area that I'd never seen before, and it was so difficult. And he must have retried this bit like 30 times, but when he did it, it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
I mean, even like a testament to like, the graphics and the vibe, I guess, of the PS1. There's someone that I was watching last night. I sent my mate Hammonds a link, who's in the group. He's a massive Resident Evil expert. Someone has rebuilt the first Resident Evil game using the graphics of the day, but in 3D. So like it's like a first person like survival horror, and it looks amazing. And even the guy playing it is like, wow, this does look really cool. And as he's playing it, he's like, well, this is quite freaky. This is a little bit freaky. Like the zombies look dreadful, but the environment itself, even now, still looks incredible. And that's it's that testament to that era of gaming, I think.
I would be too scared to play that. Are there any Let's Plays online?
There are. There absolutely are. Yeah, definitely are. It's like
I love horror games. I love them. I can't play them. I'm too scared to play horror games. I literally can't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I would binge watch Let's Plays.
Yeah,
I love them.
No,
So
horror
mine's
is definitely my thing.
Mine's that graphical jump. Like in one of your recent videos, you go on about Shenmue.
Yes.
And I remember the first time I saw that, I like, oh, unbelievable, full discs and like, you know what I mean? Like I remember like the fish swimming and going in and having a fight using like virtual fighter mechanics and that.
When you look at just
Unbelievable.
how long they spent, bearing in mind, like
Yeah.
it was supposed to be like a Virtua Fighter RPG for the Saturn,
Oh,
and then
Yeah,
all
the
that
Saturn.
time, all those like scrapping it and starting again, just amazing, amazing. And it's just a shame. Like we backed Shenmue 3.
So did I.
We haven't taken it out of the box at the
It's
moment.
clunky as hell, I tell you. It's clunky. It's like I got to the first bit, I got to like a couple of hours in, and I just stopped playing it, which is a shame because I'd done number 2 with English subtitles and Japanese. That was from that was on the Dreamcast at the time.
Oh, that's a shame.
But no, it's just it hasn't held up well. It's just a shame because you wanted to beat that Landy at the end.
Yeah, if Retro Respawn is up for it, I want to do a Shenmue 2 video, because like when you look at Shenmue 2 and like looking at I've gone blank what the name is, the walled city, what's it called? I've gone blank. The walled
City.
I think we've all gone blank.
Hong Kong.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't think what it's called. It was literally just in my brain as well. I hate that. It's like having children does this to you, like where you have words and they're there and then they go. Kowloon, thank you.
There you go.
As if by magic.
Like, they've recreated Kowloon, but what I'd like to be able to do is have all proper shots, because if you go on YouTube and look up Kowloon, there's so much footage out there of it, and it's just brilliant because it's immortalized forever in one of the 2 most iconic games on the planet. Just brilliant. It's amazing that they were able to include that, because I can't remember when Kowloon was actually taken down, but it's gone. It's just gone.
Yeah, I think it's that because I think I remember I never played through Shenmue 2. It was one of those games that I just never managed to pick up at the time, and I have very vague memories of Shenmue itself. But I think that was probably another graphical jump for me, where you genuinely were completely invested. The Dreamcast, I think, is still possibly one of the most underrated systems. It was so ahead of its time, and because it was so ahead of its time, no one cared, which is a real shame.
Yeah,
I
totally.
think it's where the
online
PS2.
first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And-
the PSG really hampered it, didn't it? Because again, it had backwards compatibility and a DVD player, and actually cost less than some DVD players. So if you had the option of the two, I think loads of people just went for PS2, which is a great console as well. But yeah, I think that overshadowed the Dreamcast somewhat.
But
If the
Dreamcast had Seaman, didn't it? Which was probably one of the greatest games ever made. So
Excuse me. So good. So good.
All right,
Oh,
you should got
please
Don't tell me
produce a
Lane's
copy.
got it.
Here we go.
oh,
It's,
here we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
it's yes.
Look at that. Brilliant.
Yes.
Oh my lord!
With the microphone.
Look at that.
That is
Wow.
brilliant.
That's
I
quality.
so want to play that game.
It's so
He always
so
goes on
weird.
about it.
It's so weird. So I love the AVGN episode of it. It is just so weird.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm tempted to play that at all.
Oh, I think you should do a video on it, the making of
Yeah.
it, and that would be brilliant.
Yeah.
God, people do love seamen, don't they?
Right. On the,
Move on quick.
apart from Seaman, what would be your greatest game of all time?
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, good choice.
Number
Good.
one, my favourite game. I love that game so much. And then that is closely followed by Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, which is
Okay.
obviously a newer game. And it just pips it over proper Ni no Kuni for me.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Interesting.
after Xenoblade Chronicles, Ni no Kuni 2
Is that the one with like the Welsh?
being the most perfect game ever. So
It's something I really wanted to pick up again on the Switch to get like the definitive edition, because I played through it on the Wii and never really really deep dived into it, even though there is a crazy amount to do. So yeah, I always really wanted to go back to it and pick it up on the Switch, but it's trying to find a time when there's nothing else in existence that I can just play that, because I know that there's so much more to that game than the surface level that I touched on. It's such a rich universe.
play it on the
Is that-
3DS.
Yeah.
Honestly, play it on the 3DS. That is my most favorite experience. But it's because for me, the 3DS is just that much more pick up and play.
Mhm.
And the fact that you can just the kids are getting on my nose saying, close the lid, right? Pop that down. All right, okay, here you go. There's a drink, and then you can just there it is. You don't. That is the best way to play it. And the new 3DS was literally perfectly crafted to handle it. It's so much better than the version on the Wii. They finessed it. They gave it more meat. I mean, that game, I don't think it's possible to 100% it. I literally don't think it's possible, because every time I play it, there's something new that I've discovered. There's an area of the map which I thought I would have completely found every single part of the map, and there's another secret cave. I've just come across the secret boss. I'm dead. And it's just the battle mechanics of it. It's just it's the greatest game ever. Honestly, if you like a JRPG, just it's
the sort of
the
I think
characters,
it's
everything, the story. It's fantastic. And
I think it's the sort of
I read a lot of Stephen King books, and it's up there for me with the King.
high praise.
Wow.
See,
That's very good praise, yeah.
It's definitely a JRPG that I think even Dorbs would probably get a kick out of, because the battle mechanic isn't the turn-based.
It's a
It's not- it's
turn-based
not
battle you don't
typical.
like, isn't it?
It's not the typical turn-based sort of thing, and it's good. It is a really cool story. So I do think, if you want to jump
But
on a,
Is it the voice acting? Is it
I
Welsh?
like the voice acting in it. I think it's fun. Like,
It just reminded me of my nan. I couldn't take it seriously because my nan was Welsh, and it was just like I couldn't get into it.
the Welsh actors. That's Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you show us, Balanas, how the accent was?
Yeah.
Are you able to demonstrate it? Because I can't really in my head. I'm not getting it.
Oh right. Oh right. No, it was funny. I was finding it funny because it was just like my nan talking to me, so I could fully understand it. But
My nan's Welsh, but she doesn't have a Welsh accent.
oh,
No,
well,
the same with
I
mine.
can't
My nan,
demonstrate for you.
my nan was born and bred in Swansea, yet she sounded like she was on Downton Abbey. You know, she had this really, really posh accent. You're like, wow, like, how are
Big
you from
accent.
Wales?
Hello, Oliver.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's super posh. But it's but
My,
yeah, it's like, how are you from Wales? Where's the Welshness gone? Just never came.
My nan's dad was with the Welsh Guard, so
Oh,
he
cool.
was basically an army child. So that's probably explains. My nan's got a really sort of Downton Abbey accent as well.
Yeah,
She's really, really well spoken.
yeah.
Yeah, she was an army child, so she was stationed in Egypt at one point, and then left in France for a few years, and then ended up coming back to England, rebelling and marrying a Sri Lankan.
Proper tangent.
In the
There.
60s.
Oh, yeah, good choices on games though. I
Yeah.
would agree with both of those being good. Oh, to be fair, I haven't actually played the second Ni no Kuni game. The first one I really enjoyed. I would like to pick that up again. My daughter's just started getting into anime and manga and lots of things like that. And you know, some of it you're like, it's not massively appropriate.
Watch. Give her Yokai Watch. You can't go wrong with Yokai Watch. It's like Pokemon, but even cuter.
Okay, we can dive into that. Okay,
like,
I'm going to be.
It's like if Goku was a game and not Dragon Ball. It's pure. It's pure.
I must admit, because the manga and anime thing, it gets lost on me a little bit. But Ni no Kuni was something like genuinely special. The art style from the Studio Ghibli stuff, and yeah, that was genuinely breathtaking. That game, really
the
good.
art style carries through into number 2, but Ni no Kuni, I find that game is hard. It makes me cry. I can't talk about that game because it sets me off really, really bad, because I find it so beautiful how their storytelling, in the fact that Oliver's setting off on this amazing epic journey for all the wrong reasons. And you just know, and Mr. Drippy's just sort of like, yeah, all right, then come on, yeah, that's fine. And it's just like, yeah, it's just amazing. It's a beautiful game. Really beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So there you go. There's a recommend. There's 2 massive recommendations for everyone.
That one's okay, so I'll add that to my list. I'll have to have a look.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, it's lovely. But if you cry easy like me, I'm a total melt. So
there's definitely games that
3 hours.
There's definitely games that do it. You know, that's normally the sign of a really good game when it does that. The game or 2 games for me that did that was the intro to Last of Us. I remember playing that. My daughter, I think, was at the time, she wasn't particularly old, and playing that and just the intro and like, oh my god, and the title comes up and I was really upset, and my wife came in, she's like, the bloody hell's wrong with you? I can't tell you right now. I've got to kill some clickers now. This is not happening.
And the as well. I do like
it's
that
good.
game.
And the other one, the one that really sucker punched me, and I didn't think it would affect me quite as much as it did. And this was Ryan's wife Siobhan put me onto this game. Was the first Life is Strange.
Oh, I've never.
Absolute mess. After every time, like, there's a really good mechanic in it where you can turn back time to either reinvestigate areas or see things from different perspectives, and eventually you can kind of go further back in time and basically change your life, like the butterfly effect. And every time you'd go and do something, it was like, oh my god, this can't get any worse. And then something happens, it's like, oh, this is wonderful, finally something really wonderful's happened, and then it doesn't. And I was like, oh my god, I think I'm done. That was it. Absolute mess. Just lost it. And I think I even messaged Ryan. I was like, tell Siobhan I've cried now. She's officially broken me.
I think
first
for
Life
me,
is Strange. Great game.
Red Dead Redemption 2 done me. That's the only game that's ever really made me like sob when I was sitting there. I don't know if anyone's played Red Dead 2, but I don't want to give any spoilers, but like towards the end of it, it's like the big build up to it. And because you've done about 40 hours of gameplay with that character at that time, I had like, I didn't even realize I had like tears running down me. My daughter's like, Daddy, what's wrong? Nothing. Just...
Oh God, it's like Game of Thrones. No one's safe.
No,
absolutely
Oh,
not.
I've never played any of the Red Dead games. I've got
Oh,
them.
they're brilliant. Really good.
Yeah, really good.
Really good.
Yeah, brilliant. Red
do have
Dead
yet to
2
play-
is brilliant. It's like a film.
I've yet to
40-hour
play 2.
film.
There's a part of me that's hoping, because I still haven't played Last of Us 2 yet either.
Oh,
And that was
mate,
because
what?
it was in that last era, wasn't it? It was one of the last proper PS4 games, and there was that part of me where they would start talking about remasters, and I thought they're going to remaster it for PS5. I'm just going to hold fire and get a 4K disc with all the gubbins that comes along with it. And Red Dead 2 is another one I haven't played because there's a part of me that's hoping they do a PS5 remaster. So I'm holding out on those two.
Oh, you see, I'm not bothering to get a PS5. I'm one of these people that I wait like 4 or 5 years after a console's come out before I bother to go get it because I don't want to pay through the roof. And I'm like, I can wait. I've got all this.
Well, that kind of fits nicely to our next topic, which is game collecting, and you've got your massive collection behind you. So it's really like, where did that all start? What are the plans?
The vast majority of all of the collecting is Top Hat. I have been with him on expeditions, like when we went to America, and we traversed 26 states and stopped in loads and loads of retro game shops. So I've taken part in purchasing of some stuff, but the compulsion to collect is more Top Hat hoarder man than than it is me. But that being said, if he says to me, "Oh, there's this game, it's this, and I really, really want it," I won't say no because I kind of want it as well.
Yeah.
Is probably how we've ended up amassing about 3,000 games, which take up like 3 rooms in our house. Like this is only half the collection in here because it doesn't fit.
Amazing.
That means you got to move to a bigger house, surely.
Well, that's the idea.
Yeah.
I'm not moving because I need a bigger house. I'd like to move because I want to be in an area where primary schools are better. But obviously, if we can get somewhere that has a bit more room, the dream would be to have the whole collection in one room with like a green screen wall or something. That's
cool.
the dream.
Nice. I think that's everyone's dream, isn't it? Is to have a room, a game room, somewhere designed specifically for your stuff. Like my wife's not a collector at all. My wife is really good at clearing stuff out. She likes clothes and she's really into books and all that kind of stuff. But every now and then she just kind of goes, I need to make some room, and just like gets rid of it. And there's a part of me that's like, I can't do that. I can't do that.
You can't.
There is something that I did collect, and it caused a bit of a problem. So then I started selling it off, which was walkthrough guides. But the problem was a lot of them I bought on the road trip in America, and then the problem was getting them back into the country. I had this hand luggage that was heavier than my main case, and it was filled up with all of these books. And then I've got back into the country, and then the other year I thought, oh well, I'm not using them. They're just really, really heavy. So I just tried to sell them, and I failed. Quite abysmally in selling them.
Oh man! So because some of them are, we were talking briefly about it before we went live, weren't we? That some of them are like horrendously collectible. It's really bizarre what, in terms of that sort of market, what becomes really collectible and what doesn't. And guys, is never something. I've got a few. Like I said earlier, there's a few I gave away that I bitterly regret now. But I've kept like a handful of them, predominantly just because I've maybe never even used them. But there's like the BioShock ones. It's just I've got the nice versions of the BioShock ones because it's BioShock. You have to have it. I think it's.
I had all of the. I can't believe I sold them. I had all of the hardback Zelda ones.
Wow.
And I sold all of them except for the Hyrule Historia.
Regret kicking in there.
So yeah,
Ladino.
I don't know whether I know I managed to sell nearly all of the Final Fantasy ones that I had.
Yeah, don't blame you.
And then-
Don't blame you.
Oh, there's like, yeah. If you can't tell, Dorps isn't a fan of the older Final Fantasy games.
Or any of them.
Or any of them.
But
No,
no,
dude, you got to be a fan of.
Do your impression.
Well,
Ah,
I brought this up. We had it with Jebs, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I think Final Fantasy VII is just rubbish. It's terrible. It's so boring.
Oh no!
Yeah,
no.
it's just
I
boring.
played that for the
My
first
favourite
time.
game.
It's just dreadful.
First time I played that was about 7 or 8 years ago. So I played it as an adult. I didn't have nostalgia goggles. I was horrified by the horrendous 3D polygon like
Yep.
cloud.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the greatest games I've ever played.
No.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Yes!
Move on swiftly, Ryan. Move on
Yeah.
swiftly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's-
Very
no,
thorough.
no,
If
we're
you
going to
don't
savor
like,
this moment.
yeah. But if you don't like turn-based
What's that?
battle
You breaking up? I
systems,
can't hear. Lost you.
if you don't like
Sorry, Tim, I've muted you. No, go on. Go
so
on.
if you don't like
guides as well that we
Sorry, go
had
on.
really battered walkthrough guide. So I got the gold chocobo, I got Vincent, I got
Yeah.
I did loads of all of the secret things. I did all the
Oh,
skiing.
Blair.
all
Good lad,
of
yeah.
that.
I've got a few videos on my other channel. So I've got my own channel. I did a bunch of Final Fantasy VII walkthroughs and stuff. I've got Chocobo breeding guide, enemy skill guide, limit break guide. So I just capture all the footage and edit it all together. That was really good fun doing. So I really like doing all that.
Much of Dawes is dismay, mainly because I can't move the camera.
All right.
The
Your
pretty much
impression
all
of-
hanging up in front of me are all my original Final Fantasy
Yeah,
figures,
nice.
the original one.
See, they would be okay. I wouldn't mind them. It's just the game I found was just so
Yeah.
boring.
Ah, dude, I can, to be
Fight,
fair, I can
Fight,
Walk a bit. Fight.
If you don't
and
like,
then fight, and it's just
yeah, I think
can
you
see why
just
people-
don't sound like you don't like that style of game. So if you just don't like turn-based battle games, you're not gonna like any games that have that sort of style, right? So if you were playing something, I don't know, Pokemon, I'd imagine you'd hate that
Never
as well.
played it.
Because
Never played it.
like if you think Final Fantasy VII is bad for that, the original Pokemon on the Game Boy, when you get to a cave, the caves are just horrendous.
Oh.
I got bored of the caves. So it's literally like walk 2 steps, get in a fight, walk 2 steps, get in a fight. I was like, I just want to get out of this bloody cave
Yeah,
now.
it's frustrating because you can see you see a target. I'm going to walk there, and then you walk for like 10
Yeah, it's
seconds.
But-
Big spinny
See,
thing.
I quite enjoy the grinding in that where you're leveling up. You know, if you're leveling up on stuff and trying to level up your moves and things like that, I quite enjoy that part of the game. But if you don't, then yeah, it's going to be just really frustrating, right? Because you're just trying to walk somewhere and you get interrupted constantly.
Plus, I remember I renamed all the characters because when you picked up a character, you can rename them.
Mm.
So I renamed all the characters, and then I had a guide, and it says Tifa is this. I'm like, who the hell's Tifa? Who's Tifa? And we didn't have Google back then, so I wasn't sure.
called
Who
it
Tifa
Janet.
was,
You know what it is?
Yeah.
I have
You
no
can just
idea
go
who
Red
it was.
8. Who's Red 8? What's Red 8? And I've called him like, Max or Sam or something, whatever it was.
It's Red 13.
Was it? I thought it was Red 8. I thought it was Red 8. Where are you getting Red 8 from?
See,
Excellent.
it might
Maybe I
be
think the Red
when I
Dwarf.
played it. I will move on from Final Fantasy in a sec because I'm worried I'm going to upset half the panel. But I renamed some of the characters. So I renamed Red 13 Nanaki, and I renamed Cloud Zack just to have some confusing dialogue later in the game. So that was quite fun.
It must be
Yeah.
a Final Fantasy thing, but
Definitely
yeah,
is.
you wouldn't know.
It's nice to be
Yeah.
able to savor the moment, if I'm completely
it's
honest. It's nice to have somebody be like, brilliant game, because graphically it's not aged well, the gameplay hasn't aged well, but the story is what sells that game, even to me now. As a kid, I thought it was well, but it was a
I
story.
thought you'd gone then for a second.
I think he does this every now and again
He's
in the
been booted
stream.
out.
It's like the devil
Is it-
takes over. He just freezes
Ah,
briefly.
Is it?
It's like The Exorcist.
Am I back now? At least is it back now?
Yeah,
yeah,
you get
yeah,
it.
you're back now.
Have any of you
Jiffy internet.
seen a YouTube channel called Final Fantasy Union?
Mm.
No.
No,
No.
I don't have.
If you like lore, and I love lore, like I love Final Fantasy lore, Witcher lore, like Fallout lore, any lore. I like lore channels. So I watched a video about Final Fantasy VII, and it goes back into some of the ideas that they had in the making of it. And if you have ever noticed in the artwork that Eris and Sephiroth have got the same, it's such a good channel. They've got the same hair, because one of the ideas was that they were actually supposed to be brother and sister at one point.
Oh.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really good channel. If you like lore, that's a really good channel.
Okay.
Really good
Cool.
channel.
See, we're getting all the suggestions tonight. You're getting game recommendations. You're getting channel recommendations. This is great.
Yeah. And don't get me started on The Witcher 3. Honestly.
Oh, good. That game is up there as one of the best games of that generation.
Oh yeah.
So good.
I'd pay. Do you know what I would pay? 40 crowns for an elf in a Passiflora.
It's good. It's really good. I was really impressed with the TV series as well. I'm eagerly anticipating the second season of that.
Yes,
and the books are great fun. I'm a very slow reader. That's my trouble. So a book like Lord of the Rings can take me a while to read. So it took me a while to read the first couple of Witcher books. So I've not read all of them, but it's
same here. I'm rubbish at reading. I think it's an auditory learner or an oral learner. I can't remember what the word is, but I learn best by listening rather than by reading. So I need a Audible sponsorship. I've got like 200 books that I've listened to on Audible, and so I've got through all of the Witcher books really, really quickly.
Nice.
And so I really like the TV series because it's so true to the books. I mean, some bits they're a bit flamboyant, like everything to do with like the sorceress school and that sort of thing. None of that. That's like new. Like Yennefer doesn't really look in the program how she looks in the book. I'm not going to get into this because it just everyone goes mad. Like, for example, Triss Merigold in the book is nothing like Triss Merigold in the game, yet everyone kicked off about Triss Merigold in the TV series. Like,
no one's ever happy. No one is ever happy.
It's like Game of Thrones, isn't it? It's like Ned Stark, Sean Bean, and people were just never happy with how, you know, because I read the Game of Thrones, totally going off again, but like I read the Game of Thrones books before the TV series, and I don't think many of the characters were as I expected them to be. But
I've seen the first series of Game of Thrones. I think I've seen some of maybe the second series. But the problem is I was living with my dad at the time, so you can understand why I couldn't watch Game of Thrones when he was watching it. So,
every now and then there are some moments where if you're watching it with somebody, you're like, I mean, I've got quite a I love horror movies, and I get that itch as soon as something's like described as the worst movie of all time, or it's so disgusting, it's so revolting. There's a part of me, it's like I've got to see it, even if it is just awful. I've got to see it. So my wife kind of expects sometimes if something really awful is happening on TV, sometimes she's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that's happened," and we're just sat there like, "Yeah, it's pretty shit." No, and she's like, "How is this not bothering you?" It's like, well, it is bothering me, but to be fair, it's not as bad as something that's happening.
I saw a brilliant post that someone put about Game of Thrones, saying that Game of Thrones is a cultural phenomenon, not because of how popular the show was when it was on, but how quickly people stopped talking about it when it ended. Because that ending was so universally hated. Like Facebook was just littered with like people talking about Game of Thrones. After last episode, it was like radio silence. It was like, yeah, we're just not going to talk about it. And it just went dead.
I've never ever seen an episode, so I don't know what you're on about.
It's good, mate. It's good. It's missing a season.
It's like the ending. Yeah.
It's definitely missing a season. I think between the last two seasons, there is a season missing. I think maybe they were told to hurry it up a bit, but. For Deceit, I watched. Oh, nice, Dean.
Yeah, I know what scene he's on about there. Yeah.
I think most people do. I mean, that is a funny movie.
First came out. I don't know if I was old enough to watch it. But I just remember my mum literally crying at that at the puppet being sick.
Yeah. It's so good because sometimes the puppetry is really good, like the motion is really good, and then sometimes it is just deliberately bad. I remember that
whole,
first.
the Matt Damon thing got me
Yeah.
every time he come on. Oh,
Matt
just-
Damon.
Matt
It's
Damon.
that. It's the fist fight, isn't it? When the guns are run out, like you've just done. It's like, let's make this interesting, and they just go.
the sex scene.
Oh my god, it's so good, is it? It's
Classic.
so funny. Puppet sex. You didn't know you needed it as much as you did until you saw it, and you're like, "Fuck, that's funny."
See, Mean Machine Dean, he always has a go at us for going on it. Like when we go onto his Twitch streams, me and Dorbs, he doesn't play the songs we want.
No,
What does he do?
I don't
He
think
does
he likes us,
he
mate.
does a
I don't think he
driving
likes us.
game. Send your songs in and I'll play them. He wouldn't play Adam Ricketts, Gareth Gates, Rick
Black
Waller.
Ace.
You know, we asked for all these.
Yeah,
Rick Waller.
yeah,
And
Rick
he's-
Waller. Yeah,
And he's coming here and turned this to what was that movie? The movie show or whatever it was called.
What film?
Yes.
Film 21 now.
Yeah.
Barry
But
Norman.
we're going back to your games collection. Is there a point when you're going to stop, or is it just a continuous?
Well, we kind of had to stop because we noticed that a few years ago. I think if you recall, Top had put out a video a long time ago saying that he's not collecting anymore because prices were getting silly.
Yeah,
But it's just got even worse now with all of this Water and Heritage malarkey that's been going.
bollocks.
Richard, okay, I've got a story here for you now. Richard has Top Hat has an auntie who lives in Toronto,
Oh.
and this auntie, she's so lovely, but her and her husband are like mega wealthy. We're talking like millions of. They're proper cotton picking, like real. Sorry, I'm going into the like flipping the Sundance Kid quotes now. Proper millionaires, like really wealthy. So the fact that she contacted Richard recently and said, you know, I've just seen that a Super Mario game has just sold for $2 million. You need to start selling some of your games. Like, this is someone who does not want the money, who does not own games. She's just chill. She does lots of charity work. All of her focus is not game orientated at all. So, and also she's in her 70s. This is how game collecting has been wrecked in the sense that she shouldn't know that games might be worth money. And the truth is, it's not worth that much money.
No,
like, it's not.
it's
Like, I've got games here which are probably worth like maybe £5 or something, but 10 years ago they were worth 50 pence. That's not right.
no.
It's not right.
It is a thing.
Very
I
stupid.
think it is. I think it is a thing at the moment, and the water grading and the crazy sale prices for those two things has not helped it in recent time at all. I briefly sort of talk about. I say briefly, it's a 10-minute video. The video that I did recently, where I talk about it, and it is just that case of I think there's a lot of people now that because of that think that what they've got is immediately expensive. So they've sort of stopped taking it to car boot sales and that kind of thing, and they now put it on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. And because there's so many people that are now wanting to buy retro video games, people are paying these silly prices for games that aren't really worth much, really, but because they're now selling for that price, they're going to become worth that, because as soon as you've sold something for, 30, £40, well, then that's it. It's sold for £30, £40. That set the new precedent of the pricing. And it has made the collecting hobby a little bit sour, but
Like,
this
do
is
you
why I
remember
think
in
there's
those days
system.
when the worst thing you had to deal with was going down a boot sale and there was just some like scalper there wanting like £5 for something worth £2. And I'm not paying £5 for that £2 game. Like, stick it.
Yeah. If you do it now, if you go down a car boot sale now, like it's been at least a good couple of, well, because of COVID mainly, but it's been a good couple of years since I've taken anything to a car boot sale to sell. And it always used to be the people you'd get there at like 5 to set your stall up to sell. And as soon as your car pulls in, there's someone with a flashlight literally like in your car looking.
Really?
And as soon as you get out, the first thing they say is, have you got any gold or have you got any video games? And you're like, fuck off, it's 5 a.m. Like,
get lost,
fuck
weirdo.
off. Like, yeah, even if I do, I'm fucking not giving it to you now. But yeah, that's the two questions now. Have you got any gold or have you got any video games?
I think the thing, part of it that I don't get is that if it's sealed, isn't it? That's the difference maker. Because actually, Mario 64 is not a rare game. You can get Mario 64 easily, but a sealed copy of Mario 64, that's where the rarity comes from. But why would I want to buy a sealed game I'm never going to play? Unless I already, unless it was a duplicate thing like that. I'm not going to spend millions on a sealed game. I just don't get it. It's such a weird thing to have that value. That's the bit I just don't get of it. Why has it got that much value?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something, and this collection gets moved around so much that I don't know where things are half the time. And I've got 2 things in here which could potentially be worth money, which are interesting, and I don't know where they are.
It's always the way when stuff gets moved around.
Yeah.
I think I get it if there's a rare game that is really sought after that someone wants to sell for a few £100, like you pay 200 quid or even 500 quid for a rare sought after game or a collector's edition or something like that. I get that, but when it gets 2 million for a copy of Mario,
ridiculous.
it's just how much other things could you buy for that amount of money instead
Or
of
how much good could you do in the world?
Yeah, exactly. For that amount of money, instead of buying a sealed game where if you break that seal and open it, it's not going to be worth it anymore. So you've basically just brought a brick. You can't do anything with that. And for me, the value of games is the actual game. I want to play it. I want to actually play the game and enjoy it, not just put it on a shelf.
Yeah, but even that, imagine being able to have that copy. We could sell it and just pay off all our mortgages tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, how glorious would that be?
Here we go.
We throw up on full screen.
There you go. This is a PAL version of Speedy Gonzales.
Wow.
Which is, I believe, a developer's copy, which Richard found literally by accident on eBay, and it was on there for nothing. There's a second one here, but I don't really know anything about it. This is one where I need Top Hat to come in and say, "This is what this is." But if you can,
amazing,
see that.
Yeah,
that is very cool.
Tea of something in Japan. Yeah.
It says Heberaki's Papoon, but but that's both of those. But Speedy Gonzales, there isn't a PAL version except this one that I've got.
Wow. That's amazing.
Okay.
So that's those. But again, with stuff like this, if you want to know more sort of details about that, this is where I need Top Hat to say, he's like a walking dictionary. There's me having to write notes down and to memorize things and go on loads of websites and have to reread up on things and all sorts. And there's him the knowledge
I see Paul Rose there mentioning Roadrunner. I actually picked up Roadrunner at a car boot sale literally 2 weeks ago for the Super Nintendo, boxed, fairly decent condition. It was one of those rare moments where someone has some Super Nintendo games and you're like, how much are your games? And he was like, well, it depends which one. You're like, well, I'm kind of interested in your Roadrunner games. Like, I don't know, call it 15.
Did you, as soon as you pulled in, were you with your torch looking in these windows?
Straight in. Thankfully,
a booby trap box put on top and just fill it with Call of Duty and FIFA games.
Yeah.
You get left alone and you can keep all the decent stuff underneath.
Yeah, thankfully the boot sale nearer to me now on Allington Lane, they won't let people drive in until the first people from 5 o'clock have set up, so you can get there at 6, but the public can't get in until 6:30. So it actually gives people time to set up, and it stops scalpers from running in and just basically taking everything off of anybody straight away, which is kind of cool. But yeah, a boxed Nintendo game at a car boot sale that wasn't silly money either. I think it was I think he originally said, it was 25. I was like, that's about what it goes for in my head. I was like, would you take 20? And it was in nice condition. He's like, yeah, all right then. Hey, I'll take that. I'm happy.
Yeah. So one thing I'm a little bit jealous of when I see loads of people do pickup videos, always get loads of good stuff in charity shops. And now, whenever I see a charity shop, I'm like, oh, charity shop, let me have a little look. Never have any games at all.
Well, there's
the charity shops down here don't have them.
Brilliant.
That thing with charity,
they never have anything. It's they just don't even have any games at all. Whereas I see those people doing videos saying, oh, I popped into a charity shop, got these 5 really good games.
I think with charity, if you're going to go game shopping in charity shops, you've got to do it regularly. And by regularly, I mean you've got to basically do it daily, because they do turn over those things so quickly. But yeah, it's like CEX. If you want to get, even though CEX prices are sometimes a little bit funky, they still do get good stuff in for, it's a bit less than what you'd pay on eBay, but you've got to go in daily, and it's just, I haven't got time for that.
Yeah.
Who does have time for that? Well, somebody does,
no.
clearly, because they make loads of videos on it. But
yeah, I know
definitely
someone who would have time for that. Anyway, so what and you can probably all think of who I'm talking about. So what game, or if out of your collection, you've obviously got a huge collection, what game and console would you keep if you had to get rid of everything else out of that collection? What would be the game and console that you would keep?
Could be that 3DO in it at the moment.
Yeah, PlayStation.
Yeah, PlayStation 2, because then
Okay.
I'd have all of the PlayStation 2 games, and then all of the PlayStation games that I could play. So
Okay.
that for me would be fine. If I
Okay.
had everything.
Okay.
That is a good choice.
And what would be the one game, if you had to lose all the other games, what would be the game that you would choose to keep?
To go back to my previous answer, Xenoblade Chronicles, I'd have to keep that one. I'd happily let go of everything else. I'd probably be a bit sad about The Witcher 3. I mean, like, I really wanted to pay £20 for an elf for the Passiflora, but apart from that, it would be Xenoblade Chronicles. I'd have to keep that. Have to keep it. It's honestly, it's the greatest. It's the greatest game. It's brilliant. If you're, I just.
And something that I've because I don't collect myself, I'm not a collector. Do you actually play those games, or do a lot of them just sit there and they never get played ever, or
It's I used to play more games, but then when I had the babies, you just don't have as much time as you used to, and I think that I used to be able to sit and just browse through and be like, oh, I'll play that one, because we used to have in our lounge, we had 3 televisions set up with all of the consoles set up to those televisions.
Cool.
So it used to be a lot easier for us to be able to just grab something and play whatever we liked. But now it's not as easy. So I tend to now stick to PS4 games, because I run everything off the PS4 in the lounge, and games on the Switch. So so the vast majority of this is just sort of sitting there looking pretty, like a good wife.
I think that is the thing with collecting, though, isn't it? You went there. It's that thing with collecting, though. There is
before anyone tries to cancel me, that was a joke.
I think there is that thing with collecting, though, isn't there? There is. I mean, thankfully, my collection isn't particularly massive, I guess, for retro games. When you compare it to some people's collections, I'm not into the thousands at all. But all the games that I do have, I have either had since childhood, or have played, or do intend to play. I mean, I'm very much like yourself. I've got three kids, even though one of them is definitely a legal adult. But the other two, a 1-year-old and an 11-year-old, they definitely keep you busy. And then even living with a partner who, my wife doesn't game, it's not really her thing. So, my time for gaming generally is as soon as everybody's gone to bed. And, my wife is she prefers to go to bed earlier than later, which works for me because I'm a bit of a night owl. So from about 9:30 until about midnight, that is my time to game normally. And there's just so much stuff to play. There's so many great modern games to play at the moment that, retro gaming for me, I think it doesn't take a backseat at all, but it's definitely something I don't get to enjoy anywhere near as much as I would like to, which is why, things like the Evercade and, some of the emulations like the RG351P and this kind of thing, they are so good for me in terms of being able to play the old games, the classic games that I've loved, or, maybe didn't get to play at childhood, because like you were saying about the 3DS, you can pick these games up, you can play them for like half an hour, 20 minutes, an hour if you're lucky, and then it's like, right, I've got to get back to real life now, so just save and plonk away. And I'm with you on that.
But the difficulty I have, like my 7-year-old daughter will just be, oh, what are you playing? Oh, can I have a go? And it's like, oh God, that's it then, that's your chance gone.
My 3DS used to live in my bag, so whenever I back when I used to be a blood-sucking estate agent. Like, they used to come in the car with me, or it used to come with me on my lunch break, and because sometimes I'd be so stressed out that all I could do was just play a game, distract myself. That's something that I love about games. Sorry, tangent starting.
It's fine.
It's the escapism of games.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling stressed out about something, if something's bothering you, if I generally find that the best way for me to take my mind off of something else that's stressing me out is to play a game, which is why I really like heavily story-driven games, or games where you really have to think about how you're setting things up. So JRPGs that are really customizable for me are perfect because you can really, really dive into them. And I much prefer the games that have definitive characters and definitive stories over ones where you are making up your own story as you go along. Like, for example, Skyrim or Fallout 4 or anything like that. I prefer something where the character is defined, because for me, I can lose myself in that a lot easier than one where I need to think for myself a bit more. So I've never got on with games like Minecraft or Terraria. I like them. I can play them for a short while. I can't get into them. I can't escape into them. And I think games in that respect are actually really healthy for people. Really, really healthy for people, because what else is going to take your mind off of something so completely that it can completely remove you from a situation? I think that's really, really good. But gaming has a stigma that shouldn't be there.
100%. My wife's cousin, his little lad, was doing a school project, and they get given like a really broad topic, and he wanted to do his topic on gaming because he's a little gamer, and he said, can I ask you some questions? It's like 10 questions about gaming, and one of the questions was, do you think gaming has changed for the better? And you're like, fuck, that's a good question for an 8-year-old to come up with. Like, bloody hell. And my answer was very much that. It's like, gaming has changed for the better. It's now become this thing where people with disabilities, like mental disabilities, can, like Minecraft, for example, that's really good for autistic children because they have complete control of a world, and it brings them, immense joy and this immense thing, and they use it in teaching with them because they have complete control of it. And you're like, that's a video game. 20 years ago, that was just this thing that kids did, whereas now it's being used to help, people with disabilities, regain parts of their life. You're like, fuck, gaming's amazing, man. If you don't like gaming, then you're wrong.
If you look at people, older generation people, like my nan is silent generation, I think, off the top of my head. 1940, so silent generation, and she still games. She's got no signs of Alzheimer's, no signs of dementia, no memory problems at all. And what's the one thing she's consistently done since the late 70s? Game. Every day. And she is kept sharp, and she's got all of her faculties there. She had a stroke a few months ago, so she gets her words muddled up. Like, for example, she might want to say nurse, but she'll accidentally say nun instead. So, but it's taken a stroke to do that to her. Whereas I know other people the same age as her who are starting to go through dementia and Alzheimer's, and their memory's not as good. And I do wholeheartedly believe it is the gaming that's kept my nan sharp. Well,
there's a lot to it, isn't there? That's the thing. It's so intuitive, and it really does, like you say, it pulls you into the games where it does get your brain going all the time.
And the landscape of gaming is so vast, isn't it? There's loads of different types of games, and I know that I think space we really get a lot of news stories on it now, but there used to be a real buzz probably around like the late 90s, which is like, video games cause violence, or like, worry about violent games. But yes, there are some violent games. That's only a small section of it, isn't there? There's so many other games that are not violent, and actually, like I say, they can be educational. You've got different sims and things like that, and you've got games like I'm going to draw blanks now, but like I say, there's more story-driven games, and you've got your online community kind of games. There's so many different things that gaming can offer that you can't really just put it all into that one box, can you? It's a really vast,
and a lot of them cover. I can't think of the word I'm going to say now. Like hot topics of the day and issues that young teenagers have, like the Life is Strange series that Nintendo Ollie was talking about. That really touches on some really hard-hitting issues, but it's bringing that to people's attention. And I think gaming can be educational as well, and help people.
But even like moral dilemmas, like for example, The Witcher 3 puts you in moral dilemmas, and there is no correct answer, but you have to follow. Well, you could follow what narrative you're choosing to do, or you could follow what you think is morally right, or you could be morally corrupt in it. And it's just things like that. Games can put you in situations that you wouldn't have ever naturally been placed into in your real life, and it can open up pathways in your brain that. See, I'm now making up science.
There's a really good game for that. Was the Walking Dead, the Telltale Games one? It was like more like a point and click, because it had a time bar, didn't it? Because you couldn't think about what to do. It gave you the 4 options, and the bar was going down, and you had to select something. I can't remember. There's a bit where it's like you save the guy, or you save the kid. And I was like, you got to save the kid, right? So it's like, save the kid. And then I thought, well, why wouldn't you save the kid? And then my wife was playing with me. It's like, but the kid's not that useful. You're in a zombie apocalypse. If you save the guy, then he's going to be able to fix things and help with stuff. I was like, but I wasn't really thinking about that. But it's a split second to make that decision. I was just like, I've got to make the moral decision just to see how it affects the story. But it's stuff like that, I think, is quite a cool
I love those sort of games
as well.
Like Heavy Rain in Detroit as well.
It's the beautiful thing about gaming. Like, if there is one thing that is truly universal and it is inclusive for now. It is now inclusive for everybody. Like I even know of a few blind people who are able to game. So if there's one thing which is truly universal, it is gaming. There is something for everybody, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely. It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's some people sort of talking in the chat about, I think someone touched on like violent video games, and everybody remembers the Grand Theft Autos and Thrill Kill back in the day, and everybody trying to, like, our parents like, oh, they're going to morally corrupt our children and all this sort of stuff. And I always remember that line from Scream, and it was right at the end of the movie where they're talking about why they've chosen to kill people, and he just says, movies don't create psychos, movies make psychos more creative. That is exactly it. I don't think violence in any sort of medium, whether it be art or book or gaming or movies, it's never designed to make you want to be a violent person. It's just an expression of a particular story, and I don't think it ever makes people morally corrupt itself. You've got to be pretty corruptible in order for it to do that in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Totally.
I think violent games for some people is probably the equivalent of a punch bag.
It's cathartic, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I was always really into beat 'em up games when I was younger. I mean, I still am now, really, playing beat 'em up games. But I don't think the appeal to me was ever like the actual violence. It was just I guess it's just like the speed of it and the skill based, isn't it? And you're playing against someone else, and that competitive thing of that you're basically playing like a million games of rock, paper, scissors in quick succession to kind of get one over the other person. And I just love that dynamic of it. It was never about like the violent things like Mortal Kombat. You want to see the fatalities and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that was definitely
wasn't
about
what
the
drove
violence.
me. Yeah, that was about the violence. But that wasn't what drove me to fighting games. The thing that drove me to fighting games was just the thrill of actually like playing a game that's that fast paced, where you got to make split second decisions.
And the characters were cool, weren't they? And the whole
Like, you talk about lore. You were talking about lore earlier. I love the fighting games have great lore, don't they? Like, you go into all the different backgrounds of the like I'm a big fan of Tekken, and I think the Tekken lore with like the Mishima conglomerate and all the backstory in there. I've always been a big fan of Tekken series for that reason.
Eddie Goro.
So sort of moving off top, well, not off topic really, because we're talking about your YouTube channel now. So how did that start? What was the decision to start your own YouTube channel?
So back like 5 years ago, so 2014, me and Top Hat got married, and then we decided when we was on honeymoon we needed to change everything. something had to give. We needed to make some kind of positive change, especially for Top Hat, because at the time he had just turned 30 and was like having an early like midlife crisis, like 30 years old. He's like, I'm 30, I need to do something meaningful. And all we did was watch YouTube. Like we watched YouTube all day, every day, and when we weren't at work, obviously. And so there was like a couple of videos, and Top Hat was like, "Oh, I think I could do that too." So that's basically how we started the Top Hat channel. We carried over his wrestling persona and then just beefed it up to talk about games. And so we did that for a while, and then after about 2 years of doing that, and I'd sort of been helping, I'd always been behind the camera, and I'd always sort of helped out with doing some of the writing. But then when Top Hat started doing teacher training, I had to take over doing more of the script writing to be able to keep up with weekly uploads. So we started doing that, and then after a while I was thinking, I want to have a go. I've sort of really involved behind the scenes on yours. I want to have a go. So we had to go at coming up with some ideas, and we was walking back from the town centre once, and I was thinking, we was trying to think of different names, and I just sort of said, oh, what about Lady Decade? Quickly had a quick search, couldn't find anything apart from the Lady Decade, well, the Decade of the Lady or something like that, something to do with Lady Gaga or something like that. But apart from that, there was no actual Lady Decade. And I was like, oh, that's a cool name, I could do cool stuff with that. And my original idea was I wanted to have a channel where this probably would have took off if I'd actually done it, where, for example, say I talked about, I don't know, Pong or some other 70s game, then I would have a set with just like the binatone stuff behind me, or like just only like a 70s set.
Yeah.
And then I'd do my hair 70s style, like Farrah Fawcett or something, and then have like completely, and then we'd put like a terrible grain over it and have it all slightly orange looking, and that would be the decade of that. Or I'd talk about an 80s game and I'd be dressed up like Madonna, or or something like the 90s, just anything like that. And that was the original idea of Lady Decade. But as much as it was a great idea, we didn't have the production means to actually do it. But if you go back to like my very first 1 or 2 videos, you can see where I've actually attempted to have an 80s aesthetic, and it just sort of fizzled out. And then I got pregnant. So the YouTube channel sort of ended up hang on, I'm getting my timeline completely muddled up now. I'm getting completely muddled up. No, I was pregnant, and I was saying to Richard that I wanted to do the YouTube channel. Yes. Oh, sorry, I'm getting totally muddled up. I was pregnant when all of this was going on. And the idea was that when I had the baby, I would then actually get into doing the YouTube channel. Except having a baby was a lot more work than I thought, which is why
It always is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, isn't it?
I think, yeah, I can sign up
thinking,
for this.
oh, I can have this hobby for myself too. Oh, I have loads of time. Babies just lay there. No, that's not what happened. So yes, and I thought, oh, as time goes on, things get easier. No, as babies get bigger, they're even harder work. So it's what ended up happening was I was pregnant again, and that was all of last year. And I was starting to have a bit of a crisis coming up to Christmas of last year, where I was saying to Richard, my whole identity is I'm a mum. Like, that's it. I don't work anymore because I had my first baby and didn't go back to that job. And then all I am is that's it. I'm a mum. And like I'll occasionally do a bit of work for the Top Hat Gaming Man channel. I might do a bit of writing. I do all of the filming and so on and so forth. But because Richard was doing YouTube full time, the need for me to be as heavily involved wasn't there. And I just was getting to almost like a bit of a crisis of like, who am I? Oh God, this is getting really deep. I'm sorry. This is
It's great.
Yeah.
Dive deep.
Yeah. So I said to Richard, okay, right, new year, fresh starts. And I'm like out there pregnant. I was like, YouTube Shorts is a thing. Let's do some shorts. So that's where my little shorts started. I think I did Streets of Rage, and there was a few other ones where I literally just did 1 minute. I think I was going like, "Hi, I'm Lady Decade, and these are 5 useless facts about Streets of Rage," and I was just talking crap for a minute, and that was it. And then I had Fred. And then I said to Richard, I want to do more with Instagram. Like, let's do some really stupid pictures. Like, wouldn't it be funny to actually be the stereotype fake gamer girl? Like, wouldn't it be funny to just do some really stupid, awful pictures and see how many people we can upset? So I just literally dolled myself up, put on some of my nicer clothes, and we just sat here having hysterics, like, making the most monstrous pictures that we could think of. and then we decided as well that we wanted to incorporate more wrestling into the channel, but we couldn't add it onto the Top Hat Gaming main channel. So we thought, oh well, why don't we make Top Hat Wrestling Man and see what we can do with another channel? Except we had like this situation where I can't, although I can do all aspects of making a video, I can write, I can edit, I can do the lighting, I can do the film work, I can do research, I can do all of that. The passion isn't completely there for me with wrestling, so I can't write. So I can't write about something that I don't care that much about. I like wrestling, but I'm not into wrestling. So I couldn't help with that. With having both of the boys, so I've got a boy who's about to turn 3 and a 7-month-old baby at the moment. I couldn't do the editing because I would take too long, and it would take too much time away from me actively parenting during daylight hours. So we ended up outsourcing editing and writing to other people. And one of those people that was doing the editing is Top Hat's best friend, who is an amazing musician, everybody, if you're into heavy metal or game music. Exploding Music Syndrome. Just little plug there.
Yeah.
Exploding Music Syndrome for any of you metalheads out there. So Ryan and Top Hat, like years ago, they used to make mess about videos together, just like as in like on old video cassettes, like taping stuff and making stupid little skits that are just on VCRs that they've got in the loft somewhere. And so Ryan was like, yeah, I'll do some editing for Top Hat Wrestling Man. And then all of a sudden we was getting these, I mean, all of the videos are good, but then you can really tell which ones are Ryan's because they're like outrageous, like this raw creativity. And then back in May, he's talking to Richard like as normal, and then he's like, "Why is like the Lady Decade channel just sitting there doing nothing?" And it was like, "Because we can't really do anything with it." Like I was going a year in between uploads, and then Ryan was like, "I'll do it. I'll edit for it." I mean, at the time, he was like trying to think outside the box. He wanted to escape the rat race. He was working a job that was making him unhappy, even though it was like it was a lovely job with really lovely people. It just wasn't right for him. And he's like exploding. He like oozes creativity. Like he's musical, he's good at editing, he's creative. He's like someone in the purest essence of being an artist. That is Ryan. And he's like, I'll do it. So all of a sudden Richard was like, do you want to do it? And I was like, yes, like this is finally it. This is fine. I'll finally be able to actually have Lady Decade. I'll have this thing that is mine. Like it's ours. It's entirely ours, but it's like Top Hat is his. It's his, really. It's his character. It's Lady Decade's me. It's for me. It's mine. It's like I can finally put what I want to into a video. I can cover the topics that I want to cover. Like if you notice that for a while Top Hat was doing a lot of videos which were on consoles, which is what I'm doing, because that was me writing those scripts, because I love consoles, I love the hardware. So it was something that I could really get my teeth into, and was cool and had outrageous editing because Ryan's doing editing. So it's like, it's like it's perfect. I've got the wisdom and the creativity coming from Top Hat, who with like nearly 6 years worth of hindsight, we know what we can do and what we can't do that's going to work. We know how to make the thumbnails, we know how to present it, we can do the lighting, we've got better production now. So I've got sort of, if you think of Top Hat as being like the clever person at the top with like the ideas man, he's the ideas man, and then there's me who can, so like I'd say the writing is now sort of more 50-50. So for example, I can sit and do research and pull stuff together, but then Top Hat can help me put it into a meaningful script, help me think of a hook, so we can get the script looking really, really, really slick. And then we've got each other to go through it, and then we've got this amazing raw talent. Like Ryan doesn't come from editing games. He's not trained. He's self-taught. This like his editing's outrageous. He's entirely organic, self-taught. Like, and it's like harnessing a wild horse. Like, honestly, like I couldn't. How lucky is that though? How lucky is
definitely.
that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Outrageous. Like, so I'm so lucky. Like, and since Ryan's got, you can tell. Like, if you look on Social Blade, like my channel, and you can see day one of Ryan. You can tell the moment he got involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly.
But this is the thing, though, when you've got really good collaborators, this is when good things happen. And it's, if you're lucky enough to be someone that can just do everything, well, then that's how it kind of works. But good bands, good musicians, everything like that, it comes from having people with different strengths, different ideas, and you sort of come together to make those really, really good creations. And that's clearly what's happened with you guys. You've managed to harness into a couple of people's strengths, and it's produced a really good channel, and it is a really good channel. The content that comes out on the Lady Decade channel is great. It's not just one of those things where people kind of, I don't know, I'm not just saying that because you're here. We all, I'd imagine, sub to your channel. We've all been really enjoying your Sonic videos lately. This is something we were talking about before you even agreed, I think, to come on. People, we were chatting about your Sonic videos. They're great, and it is a really good channel, and the content is fantastic. And I think even me, Machine Dean, in the comments has said that that you and Top Hat are two of the best people out there doing it at the minute. And I'd agree. It's a great channel, really good.
It's I think a lot of people seem to think that Lady Decade is a new channel. It's not a new channel. I've had that channel almost 3 years now, but it's just it was the perfect storm. It was the right things all just seemed to all happen at the right time. And it's a mixture of knowledge and luck and taking risks. Like Ryan's left his job, like he's doing this full time now. And I mean for us that's like a huge responsibility, but if it wasn't for him making that one offer, that thought crossed his mind. It's like providence. It's just that one little ting, and that's it. And it's like everything can now go up, and it's just, honestly, though, I don't really know. I can't explain like how amazing it is. And I mean, the proof is literally in the pudding. I think since May, I've gained about 27,000 subscribers.
Wow. That's amazing.
I had 10,000 subscribers and got an agent. It's like, I don't mean like an agent, like as in like pop stars and famous people, but people that sort out sponsorships. I had the person who does Richard's sponsorships said to me, "Oh, if you want to have someone to sort out sponsorships for you in the future, then I'd like to get in there first." I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, too right. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like it. But honestly, it's like when hindsight is always 2020, and that's what we've got. If you think of like Top Hat Gaming Man channel as being the eldest child.
Yeah.
And then Lady Decade, Top Hat Wrestling Man is the forgotten middle child, and then Lady Decade is the youngest child. That's like the best. That's the best analogy that I can think of at the moment.
But I know people always do say that hindsight is a wonderful thing, but it is a wonderful thing. You know, if you've got experience that you can draw on it, why not? And that will always equal success. You know, if people are able to come up with an idea that works based off of, you know, previous passions and previous things that maybe haven't worked as well as they'd wanted it to, then it's always going to work out well. And, you know, like you say, that it's that idea of that perfect storm. Sometimes it does just happen, you know, and some people call it luck, some people call it destiny, some people call it, you know, the universe putting you where you need to be. You know, sometimes it is just as simple as you're in the right place at the right time. And
I believe
there's nothing wrong with that.
That there's being in the right place at the right time, but then there's also being prepared to take risks. Like Top Hat leaving school teaching and taking a chance on moving to 2 videos a week and doing YouTube full time. We sat there with a 1-year-old baby. That was a risk and it paid off. You have to take these risks. You have to do it sometimes. And I just think I do very much live my life by, we should at least try it. I've rented out this house 4 times. 4 times I've rented out this house. 3 times it's been terrible. Like I've had big problems, especially from 2. Like our last tenants like properly trashed this house. Like it's disgusting. I was newly pregnant and I wasn't allowed in the house because there was feces everywhere. Food. Like it was bad, really bad. But I don't regret it because at least I tried. It blew up in my face. It blew up in both of our faces, but at least we tried it. And I do think that sometimes you have people that are so unhappy with what they're doing, but all they need to do is just try to find some courage to take a risk. And then sometimes it will pay off. Like going full time on Top Hat Gaming Man paid off. Like Ryan's left his job. What a risk to take.
Massive.
It's paid off for him. It's paid off for us. It's just you have to sometimes you just have to grab life by the balls and wrench.
So what are the plans for Lady Decade's channel moving forward?
Moving forward, at the moment, I don't want to upset the apple cart. What we're doing at the moment works. So
you have some real interesting topics that I don't know. For example, you'll have the forgotten Sega console that never came out. I'm like, what's this?
What?
You know, where you get that from? I'm like, and then I'll sit there and watch it and be like, wow, never knew that.
There's I'd say 2 main sources for ideas. The first is when you're researching for a topic, sometimes you come across an interesting tidbit of information that you didn't know was there. So for example, say I might be looking on a Wikipedia page, but really I'm looking at the references at the bottom, because sometimes you can come across, like if you click on a link and it will bring up a scanned magazine article from like 1995 or something like that, and then you'll read that article and then you'll see something in there like, hey, what's that? And then it will lead you down like a rabbit hole of information. So that's how, but basically, that's all I can say, like a research rabbit hole. So you're looking at some information for one thing, but you'll come across something else. You're like, I'll jot that down for later. And then later on, when you've got time, you'll look it up and be like, oh, that's a whole topic. And or the other sort of main area is actually technically from fans of retro gaming themselves. So people will tag me on something on Twitter, and they'll tag me on a picture of something, and there'll be like no likes on it apart from the one tweet underneath, which would be tagging me in it, or tagging Top Hat in it, or my own comment section. People will say, oh, do a video on this, and occasionally someone will put something that's really interesting and then you Google it, and then suddenly you've come across gold. Or it's just, again, like I've covered some of the topics that I wrote for the Top Hat Gaming Man channel like two years ago. So you pick up an old script and you think, oh well, that's useless now. It was like written. I wrote it really poorly at the time. I didn't know what I was doing, and then you have to fact check everything, and then all of a sudden you're uncovering new information that wasn't there. So just things like that. Like I know I ended up getting it wrong, and I had Adam Korolick like comment and actually set me straight, so I was able to like pin a comment from Adam Korolick on my own video. But yeah, the sorry, that was just like really cool. I marked out that because I had no idea who would even watch my video. That was about the Sega, I think Neptune, off the top of my head. I sometimes get the solar system muddled up, so sometimes I say Neptune and I mean like Mercury or something like that. But yes, where I'd watched the Ben Heck video where they actually opened up. They opened up KidVid's console there, and so I'd watched that video, and then I'd read loads of articles. I'd gone over the old script for it, and then all of a sudden there was this new information. Unfortunately, I got some of it muddled up, which was actually also from articles which had obviously got the wrong end of the stick as well, which I'd read and sort of taken information from some of these articles in the research. But that's the only thing that just keep looking. That's it.
Yeah.
If you read up on something, you'll come across something will pique your interest and come up against it.
Oh.
So I'm rambling now. Sorry.
No, that's
great.
Really
Really
good.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So the plans for Lady Decade is to carry on doing those kind of videos at the moment.
I mean, eventually I'll probably get topic burnout, which is inevitable. But at the moment, obscure stuff, strange stuff, cancelled stuff, oddities, stuff that I like is at the moment seems to be working. So I'll carry on doing that for now. And then if I have to become like a Witcher 3 dedication channel, then
I think that's got a lot of draw to it though. The obscure, the strange, the cancelled. It's all because there's nothing better than a what if. You know, there's what if this had happened? What would have happened if this had happened? There's so many possibilities with that as a topic itself, that even just learning about the fact that these things existed, the Sonic games I've really enjoyed on your channel recently, and Sonic Extreme I think was the one that me and Tim were chatting about earlier in the day, and it's like, fuck, I didn't even know that game existed, and what a weird game it was.
All of these videos where I've been talking about the differences between like the Sega Technical Institute, or Technical Research Institute in America, and then you've got Sega of Japan, and my conspiracy theory on the Yuji Naka is like, if you connect all the dots, like Yuji Naka, like, is kind of the reason why Sega doesn't release consoles anymore, in my opinion. But again, that's a video that I could do. I could do like a video on how Yuji Naka killed Sega in the console market, because I can draw that from all of my other videos, like where, like for example, with Sonic Extreme and Sonic Mars and Sonic 16, you can see how he had become disenfranchised with Sega of Japan after the creation of Sonic. Then he's completely just walked out and said, no, I'm not doing it anymore. And then you've got I can't remember what's the Mark Kearney, although I think I pronounced it Mark Cerny, and then I got brutally corrected in my comments. I read it as Cerny. So you get Mark Kearney go over to his flat and you're like, hey, Yuji Naka, why don't you like come with me, and we're starting Sega of America, you can come over there. And then you have the culture clash between the Japanese team and the American team. They don't mesh well because of the cultural differences. And then all of a sudden you've got Yuji Naka's gone over there and had a hard time making Sonic 2, and then all hell's broken loose. Him and his team, the Sonic team, have then gone back to Japan, back to Sega of Japan, and then all of a sudden he's being precious. He's getting all precious over his little things. So Sonic 16 stops being a thing, Sonic Mars stops being a thing, and then Sonic Extreme stops being a thing because the team that were working on Sonic Extreme really just needed Yuji Naka's engine to make the game work. It was going through all sorts of development hell. They just needed the engine. Sorry, I'm now going over reverse.
No, this is great. Yeah.
Great. I'm learning.
And then Yuji Naka's like, no, if you take my engine and let them use it for their butchered, westernized, furry Sonic, then I'm out of here. And then that was it. So then your like major launch title all of a sudden is Yuji Naka's other like little passion project love machine. So you've got Sonic, and then you've got Nights into Dreams, and then there's no Sonic on the Dreamcast, but there is Saturn. There's no Sonic on the Saturn, but there is Nights into Dreams. Oh, and who's the common denominator? Oh, it's Yuji Naka. So, and then like when you've got the Sega Black Belt, and then you've got the Sega Dreamcast that are in development at the same time. Oh, I'm probably getting myself muddled up. Like,
no, you're
still. Yuji Naka has then got sort of messed about in there as well, and all of a sudden you've got the Dreamcast and the Black Belt is no more. It's just like everything you look into with like infighting and stuff. Somehow Yuji Naka's been in there, like throwing shade somewhere, or making snide little comments, which then caused Sega of Japan to overrule Sega of America, and then they alter. And there's got to be a reason. Like Miyamoto is like literally known for being like a bit of a bastard, and who's like his busy mate? Oh, Yuji Naka. So it's like everything that it just like it all just boils down to Yuji Naka. Or I could even go down like the Sega and their alleged involvement with the Yakuza. So there's like
That's a big topic, isn't it?
so many avenues and conspiracy theories I can come up with.
It's incredible because your knowledge of games is just like blowing me away. And when you watch a YouTube channel, and no disrespect to any YouTube channel, but sometimes you think they're just reading that from script. They don't necessarily know it, but you're just sat there just reeling us. And I'm like, wow, I can't.
I get really, really bad imposter syndrome sometimes. Like this is why I was so like stressed out and like getting nervous. So in the lead up to this, because I was like, oh no, like I'm gonna go blank. Oh, I'm not gonna. And although I've like done stuff earlier, like couldn't remember what Kowloon was and stuff like that, where I'm like sweating and nervous and getting muddled up. But I'm not like Top Hat. Like he's like a walking like encyclopedia of gaming knowledge. Like I've never known anyone to have the memory that he has got. He just retains information. For me, like I've just covered these in a video, so I've sat there and we've been writing these scripts together, so then doing the research and it sort of sinks in. And then for me, because again I learn best by listening, so I'm then reading these scripts and then it sort of does solidify in my mind a bit more. So but I love Sega bollocks. I love it. It's my favorite. Like, if there's any kind of like dodgy shit going on at Sega, I love it.
I kind of feel like that needs to be on a T-shirt. I love Sega bollocks. Yeah. I mean, that is a T-shirt. That is a T-shirt waiting to happen. I mean,
I kind of love watching the Sonic stuff because I absolutely loved all the 2D Sonic stuff on the Mega Drive, like Sonic 1 through like Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic 3, and it's been a really weird thing to observe, like how the Sonic games kind of try to go 3D, and there's quite a lot of like bad 3D Sonic games. And I absolutely loved Sonic Mania, and that came out because they did it as like the 2D style. And like the videos they've got these different 3D Sonic games. They're trying to get into me and trying to use the next gen console to make a Sonic game. I always thought to myself, they'd have been so much better off just making a sharper, good 2D Sonic game. Because there's nowadays you do get a lot of really like really sharp, good graphical 2D platform games, like things like Cuphead and like all the Rayman games that came out. I just feel like if back on the Saturn and the Dreamcast, if they just brought out 2D Sonic games and carried on with that format, it would have been completely different. But,
see, the problem is with at the time, like around 1995, everybody was all of a sudden they were. I mean, like you remember back in the 90s, everything had to be futuristic. Everyone loved anything futuristic. So, like a 2D Sonic would, like, bear in mind the Sega Saturn was a difficult machine to develop for as it was, but it was so perfect for 2D games. 2D gaming on the Saturn was like quintessential. So it desperately needed to have like a main title Sonic game. It really needed that. And I mean, who knows if there really had been like a really top quality Sonic Mania style 2D Sonic game. I honestly I couldn't tell you whether in that what if scenario whether that would have succeeded or not, because at the time the mentality was, okay, right, so 2D gaming, okay, we're over that. Ugly 3D polygon graphics. That's getting me going. Like, that's what's exciting. That's what's fresh and new. And then, so I can see why they needed at the time to make a 3D Sonic game work. But the problem always was that level of miscommunication between Sega of Japan and Sega of America. Like, Sega of America never, ever should have been flogging the 16-bit market like it was. Like, there was no need to try to make the Mega Drive live longer than it needed to. We didn't need the 32X. I mean, it's
no, we didn't.
No,
we didn't need it. We didn't. Yeah, or the Mega CD. We didn't need any of that. They needed to just work together. I mean, if they had actually made it work, like put their differences aside, stopped working against each other, like we could have had something. Or if the Sega PlayStation had actually just in a thing, like we had possible Nintendo PlayStation, then they went to Sega. Like if they had just stuck with it, then things would have been so different. But
do you reckon it's because like Mario 64 came out?
Pardon?
And then you see Mario 64, 96, and how that just blew everyone away.
Yeah, I think like Mario transitioned to 3D so much better, didn't it?
Yeah, they were like, well, we need to go 3D. And it was...
Yeah, but everything at that time, she had like Earthworm Jim went 3D, didn't it? And that was awful.
That was true.
But it was just everything has to be 3D.
But those massive difference.
Today, talking about this very subject.
Yeah,
it's literally. I'm not going to go into spoilers because
well, people to watch it. Yeah, but I mean, Mario. I do think Mario translated to 3D really well and really seamlessly, purely because Mario was never a fast game. Mario was always, you could take Mario at a pace. You didn't have to run if you didn't want to. You could just plod along and get your power-ups and get to the level, and you could still achieve what you needed to do. Whereas the main selling point for those first 4 Sonic games, including Sonic and Knuckles, and that was speed. You could plod along and take things slow if you wanted to, but ultimately you played Sonic because he was fast and he ran really quickly.
You play Sonic, and I think I saw it on a documentary about the console wars. Sonic 1, apart from is it Emerald Hill? Is that the first zone?
Green Hill zone.
Green Hill, sorry. Yeah. Apart from that, the other levels are quite slow.
Yeah, slow. Yeah.
True, true. But pick up Sonic 2. Like I vividly remember. I mean, I was a Nintendo kid. My mate had a Mega Drive, so we had the best of both worlds. But I remember buying the Sega magazine just because it came with a VHS with some Sonic 2 footage on it, and I remember watching that and having my mind blown because of how quick Chemical Zone was. And just seeing
you're going round the pipes and getting shut off, aren't you? Yeah.
But even to the point where sometimes Sonic would just leave the screen and you're like, where's he gone? And then the camera would just catch up. And it was just this Sonic 2 was fast, Sonic 3 was fast, Sonic and Knuckles was fast. And it was just, for me, that I think was possibly the hardest part to translate into 3D. How do you keep him quick?
Yeah.
And how do you keep him controllable? But they succeeded in the end because, you know, Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, I mean, I don't care what anybody says. Those games are brilliant. And
I think they're the exceptions, aren't they? Like when I was talking about like the bad Sonic 3D games, I wouldn't have included Sonic Adventure in that. But no. I certainly have very bad memories of playing Sonic Heroes because there's a thing. I won't stay on this topic for long, but there's a thing where when you're controlling Knuckles, and it's all right. There's one thing that's kept happening to me personally. Trying to be Knuckles, do the punch move, would accidentally press the button one too many times, change to Sonic, press punch, and go flying off the edge and die. I used to do that all the time. I was like, God damn it! I used to hate it for that reason. I used to always press the wrong button and fly off the edge, and I just hated it.
I think the main problem with translating Sonic into 3D at that time period is that the hardware simply just wasn't powerful enough to be able to make it work.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind that Sega had this terrible habit of trying to rush consoles to the market in order to keep up with the competition, that the developers just weren't given enough time to, first of all, be able to work with the tools that they've got. But again, it's like you're saying, you need something that can handle, I want to say like bandwidth, but it's not really bandwidth, is it? It's just,
it's got to be able to process it, though, hasn't it?
That's it. The actual processing side of things, to be able to go at that speed but maintain the level of control. If you're being given an unreasonably short deadline to do these things in, then you end up with problems like Sonic 06. And even though you've got more powerful hardware for that game, and it's just it was never going to work. It's never going to work.
No,
agree.
No. So you're I hope you don't mind me saying this, a female YouTuber in the market. I think it's marketplace. Would you class it as that on YouTube? I don't know how you would describe it. It's a male-dominated area of YouTube, certainly. I'm going to ask a slightly different question to what we asked Gebs. Would you have any advice to any females who are looking to break into the gaming area of YouTube, and any warnings to them or anything that they may want to avoid, or any other advice?
Okay, this was basically sorry, I made a bullet point list earlier with like pros and cons of that I personally experience on retro gaming in. Pardon me, God, excuse me. I've been drinking Pepsi. I'm doing a top hat and drinking Pepsi. So obviously, retro gaming is very male dominated. We all know this. And if you think about it, all the marketing back in the 90s, it was mainly targeted towards boys. There was gender bias at the time towards boys for it. I mean, even to an extent, like my nan was really into gaming, but my mum wasn't overly. So I'm in a situation where there's me, I make the 1% of being in YouTube. So what I would say to any women is, you are the 1%. You're automatically going to stand out. It's not because you're a woman, it's because you're the 1%. That's literally it. So, like, for example, when I think, here's an example, like I sometimes like watching the beauty community. Like, I like watching makeup tutorials. Who stands out to me? The men doing it. Because they make the 1%. So they're the ones that stick to your mind. So in retro gaming, I can see how being a female automatically does give you a bit of an upper hand. But that's not everything. Just being female isn't everything. What you advice to other females is, don't be afraid to put yourself on the thumbnail. You're gonna get comments. If you're brave enough to go on the internet, if you're on the internet and put yourself out there, you are gonna get some bastard somewhere who's got something to say to you. It's the facts of life. So as long as you literally think, well, that's words on a screen, it's not going to hurt me, it's not going to physically really hurt me, as long as you are thick-skinned enough to be able to not care, then don't be afraid to put yourself on that thumbnail. Stick to stuff that you enjoy, but you need, the most important thing with getting clicks, in my opinion, is you need to have an interesting topic. You need a hook. So you need something that's going to be searchable, firstly, but you need to create a title that's interesting enough that people are going to click on that. And then you need your thumbnail to reflect that as much as you can. So, for example, I've got a video coming up. I don't want to give any spoilers, but the question that I'm asking in it is, what are the reasons as to why this phenomenal title didn't appear on this particular system, which it should have appeared on, but it didn't. That's all I'm going to say, because I want.
Oh, that's a tease, isn't it? I'm in.
that is a
I'm
tease,
in.
yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
what's this
So there you
game?
go.
What's the system?
Yeah. So
So that's proof that works.
But again, this is hindsight that I've got. So another bit of advice is, don't be afraid to try to connect with larger YouTubers. If they've got a Discord and they've got an Ask Me Anything section or anything like that, don't be afraid to ask them. This is the thing with YouTube. Some people seem to think that everyone's competing with each other on YouTube. You must outdo this person. You must be better than that person. No, that's not how YouTube works. If someone, for example, someone isn't going to, for example, watch, I don't know, like you say, Gebs24. Someone's not going to watch her channel and be like, I'm not watching Lady Decade. No, they're going to watch her channel and then they're going to be like, oh, right, I enjoyed that video. Oh, I'm going to watch a Lady Decade video now. Oh, I'm going to go watch an Octavius video now. Oh, I'm going to go watch an AVGN video now. They're not going to go, oh, I only watch AVGN. Sod Matt McMuscles. That's not how it works. That's like saying that someone's going to watch Game of Thrones and then not watch, I don't know, Panorama.
Wow.
Quite different, yeah. One extreme to the other.
That's not how YouTube works. Don't be afraid to reach out to other content creators and ask them for advice. Like I did that OnlyFans video where I moaned about OnlyFans for a bit. But I made a point of saying in that I know that my channel's doing well. Like between me and Top Hat, we know how to make my videos at least do well. That is knowledge that has been gained through experience that needs to be shared. Like people like, at the end of the day, people like helping other people. Like it was like nice. Like I'm a patron of One Credit Classics. So good. And he did a video recently on Metroid where he had all bosses, 0 deaths. And I watched it from start to finish and I was like, that is so cool. So I shared it. And he got a few subscribers off the back of me. I shared it on my community tab. He got a few subscribers off of that. But then he tweeted me to say I didn't know he'd got subscribers off of it. I didn't know until he tweeted me. Like that's what we should be doing for each other. We need to be like channels like this where you're spotlighting other people and it's uplifting and it's nice and it's positive, and that's what we should be doing. We should be there for each other. We should reach out to each other. Don't say no to that person who wants to interview you. Make time for it. Like, don't say you're not going to help someone. Like, if someone wants help with a thumbnail, like Top Hat's the man. He's damn good with a thumbnail. Or if you need help titling something, you want to do a video on, I don't know, Dragon's Trap. Like, don't be afraid to ask someone who knows about that game, who might know an interesting question, to help you think of a question to answer in your video. So I could talk about this sort of thing for hours.
It's well interesting.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
We need all the help we can get. So any advice?
We appreciate someone with a channel your size coming on and talking to us, and when we're talking about different things we want to see for our channel going forward. And one of the things I said is one that I'm looking forward to is at the moment we're quite a small channel and we've got some big channels coming on to chat with us. And I just think it's going to be a really great day when we're a big channel and we have a small channel. We say, hey, come and talk to us, and we're promoting them in a big way, and we can give a small channel a boost, because so many big channels have helped us out in the early days and come on and chatted with us, and we really appreciated it. And it'd be really nice to pay it forward when we get bigger. Hopefully, when we get bigger, and I'm looking forward to being able to do that for somebody in the future as well.
Like the advice I would give with thumbnails, because I love a good thumbnail. I love a good title, but I love a good thumbnail. Is like, if you want to see what I believe are like the 3 best channels for outrageously excellent thumbnails, I would say Larry Bundy Jr.
Yeah.
Justin Wang and Gamer from Mars. They're like, thumbnails. Like they are the greatest thumbnails. Like Gamer from Mars, like if anyone is like the king of making a thumbnail, it's him. Like, honestly, like just if you go on his videos, they're so like outrageous. And as long as it ties in with your titling and your video topic, then you've got no worries.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We were really lucky to have Larry Bundy. He came on and chatted to us a couple of weeks ago, and very funny chap.
Yeah, so cool.
It was really weird listening to him teach, because all you could hear as he was talking was "Hello, you," and in the back of your head, like, we kind of talk like it. This is interesting. This is kind of weird. I'm seeing the cartoon move for real life. It was brilliant.
He's a character. I thought it was funny. I didn't really notice too much when we were chatting with him. I watched some of it back, and he's just putting funny faces like the whole time at the start when we're chatting. He's just going. The video. Yeah, no, funny guy.
He's a really cool guy. Like he came around our house when lockdown finished, when all of the restrictions were lifted. He actually came around for a couple of hours. It was so nice to see him. He's really lovely. But again, he's a pay it forward kind of guy. Like Richard had less than 1,000 subscribers, and Larry and DJ Slope reached out to Richard and like gave him advice and looked out for him. DJ Slope put Richard in his top 10 YouTubers under 5k subs videos that he used to do, and just stuff like that. That's what we should all be doing, that for each other. We should all be out there helping each other out, because at the end of the day, like, we're not competing. That's not how YouTube works. We're not competing.
I like that. That's a good sound clip.
Yeah,
that is.
And that's all.
Again, my favorite ever, like, just to like that, I came up with this. It's the retro gaming community, not the retro gaming ivory tower.
Yeah.
Very good.
Can get that on a t-shirt as well.
When I was moaning,
What's the other one? Dog Stranglers, wasn't it?
Sega bollocks.
It's almost a nice way to end the stream, because I'm conscious we've had over 2 hours of your time, and I'm sure you've got other things to be getting on with this evening, and
chatting to 5 schmucks.
Yeah, we could sit here listening all evening. But it has been a real honour to have you on, and it really has.
Absolutely.
It blows our minds whenever we reach out to YouTubers or people in the retro gaming community, and they say they're happy to come onto our channel. It's just amazing. So thank you very much for coming on this evening and for answering all our questions. We hope in the future we can get you back on again and talk about, when you reach 100,000 subs, because I'm sure that won't be too long away. But thank you to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Essex Retro Gamer and to Retro Chef for keeping an eye on the chat this evening. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, hit the bell, and I think we're back in 2 weeks, which will be... the date escapes me, but 14 days from today, and guest is to be confirmed. So until then, good night, everyone, and thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.